Hi, and welcome to the School of Wine here in Burgundy, in Gevrey, which is a little village, probably maybe 9 kilometres south of Dijon, right in the heart of the Côte de Nuit, in the northern part of Burgundy. And I'm standing here in a vineyard that grows Pinot Noir. It's middle of July, so the grapes are pretty green at the moment, but coming along very nicely, ready for harvest. Probably the middle of September, they reckon, this year. Very small family-run vineyard, as is common in the villages around here. They are walled to kind of show who owns what. Now, in Burgundy, what happened when, at the time of the French Revolution, Napoleon subdivided all of the land. And he said to the people that owned it, he says, when you die, you have to subdivide it equally between your sons and daughters. So one plot of land that was owned by one family, when that person died, got split in two, and split into two and two and two and two. So what you have is the peculiarity of Burgundy, is that individual plots of land are actually owned by many different people. Now that explains partially why Burgundy wine is so complicated to understand, why there's so much price differential and so much quality differential. But coming to a place like this, when you're surrounded by this beautiful countryside, it's really useful to get to understand exactly how all of that system works, because you can see in each vineyard how the different blocks are laid out. But look, let's try some. I actually have here a bottle of the wine that is made from this vineyard here by Gevrey Sylvian, made right here in the village, not kind of 500 meters away from the grapes that are grown in this vineyard. Now, looking at the vines themselves, they look to be relatively old, so possibly an average, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 years old. So this wine should be quite concentrated, as is typical of wine from Gevrey Chambertin. And there's the clock, it's a beautiful sound. As is typical with wines from Gevrey Chambertin, it should be quite powerful. So Pinot Noir is a grape that really reflects the soil that it's grown. So if you grow it in lots of clay, it's going to be big and powerful and fruity. And if you grow it in more limestone soil, then it's going to be lighter and more mineral and more herbal. Now, Burgundy, because of the way that the geology works, can produce wines of all of those styles. So down here on the flats, where the soil is thicker, I'd expect this to be a more powerful wine, particularly, as I say, coming from Gevrey Chambertin. It's going to have more power. But up there on the hills behind me, where the soil is thinner and the limestone gets more prevalent, I'd expect the wine to be more aromatic, more floral, and less of that kind of muscular, masculine power. But let's try it. So, I'm lucky enough to have come fully prepared here. And straight away, we can see by the colour of that wine, that's Pinot Noir. That very kind of thin red colour, which is very, very common of Pinot Noir. So Pinot is a very thin-skinned grape, which makes it very hard to grow. Which means that in places like Burgundy that are pretty marginal, which means that their climate is only just right for growing wine, if you get it right, then it's phenomenal, but very easy to get it wrong, which is why even in a place that's as small as Burgundy, you can get some pretty bad wine. Now, I'm standing here in the open air. This bottle was literally opened 2 minutes ago before I walked down here to the vineyard, but I can smell it from here. The aromas are really powerful. And so there's lots of glacé cherries in there. So there's that kind of that muscular fruit, but also very typical of a young Pinot. So those red fruits come through really, really clearly. Glacé cherries, some darker cherries, Just a little bit of kind of wood and oak starting to come through there, but not too much at the moment. And let's give it a try. So this is 2011. This is a very young wine, and it shows. This is very, very closed. It's got a great acidity, really kind of racing in my mouth. The fruits are there, so there's all those red fruits, but there's none of those kind of secondary and tertiary aromas that people talk about a lot with Burgundy wine. They haven't started to come through yet, so there's no kind of no darker fruits, no licorice, no spice, and no kind of forest floor, mushroomy notes. Let's try it again. Get some air into it. Let's really try and open it up on this just beautiful day. So like I say, middle of July, currently about 29, 30 degrees, 4:30 in the afternoon. Absolutely gorgeous. Birds twittering in the trees. Tractors around and about, so the guys in the fields are just kind of getting ready now. They're doing all of their work, and then they'll leave it for a month. They'll go away for August, come back for harvest time in September, but just get the ground prepared now, do their last spraying, get sorted. Yeah, there we go. So those cherries are still there, but it's starting to open out. Getting a little bit more of those kind of secondary notes. Yeah, very much so. So those kind of licorice and spices just there underneath the surface. And the way that acidity is put together, and the way that it's got very subtle tannins, kind of says that probably in maybe 2-3 years' time, come back to it, and this wine will be altogether kind of bigger. Its shoulders will be up, and it'll have a lot more going on. What great wine! What great wine, and what a great place to drink it. Standing right here in the vineyard where the grapes were grown to make it. So this is Ian Dougherty in Burgundy from the School of Wine, wishing you happy tasting, and come here if you get the opportunity. It's fantastic.